seriously than they took America and England. And then in 2016, she wrote a letter in which she tried to have a judge be more lenient with people who tried to join ISIS, saying that, of course, these were people who only became violent because of American marginalization. And then in 2017, she wrote a column for Time magazine in which she suggested that America was rooted and founded on slavery and genocide. And in order for us not to
In
look
this video, A Listen Reacts dives deep into the shocking controversy between Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, President Trump, and Ben Shapiro's response to her remarks about 9/11. Was Omar unfairly targeted, or is she trying to dodge accountability for her dangerous rhetoric? Watch as A Listen breaks down the media bias, the double standards in Washington, and the ongoing attempt by the left to silence patriotic voices who dare to defend America. Stay tuned for an honest, dramatic, and passionate reaction every American needs to hear.
New tactic against Donald Trump and the GOP. So after the president dinged the freshman rep in a tweet over her insensitive comments about 9/11, the freshman rep said that the mere criticism of her was akin to the incitement of violence. The media echo chamber, of course, was quick to highlight her concerns.
The freshman congresswoman says she has seen an increase in direct threats against her life after President Trump tweeted a video mixing footage of the congresswoman, who is Muslim, giving a recent speech with footage of the 9/11 attacks.
Nancy Pelosi is asking the U.S. Capitol Police to conduct a security assessment for Congresswoman Omar. The speaker is one of many Democrats now accusing the president of trying to incite violence against the first-term lawmaker.
Joining me now is Ben Shapiro, the Daily Wire's editor-in-chief and author of the brand new book, The Right Side of History, which is fantastic. Ben, now, this isn't about free speech. This is about downplaying one of the darkest days in our nation's history. Your take.
That's, of course, true, and she has a long history of not taking terrorism particularly seriously. In 2013, she did an interview in Minnesota in which she joked about people taking al-Qaeda and Hezbollah more seriously than they took America and England. And then in 2016, she wrote a letter in which she tried to have a judge be more lenient with people who tried to join ISIS, saying that, of course, these were people who only became violent because of American marginalization. And then in 2017, she wrote a column for Time magazine in which she suggested that America was rooted and founded on slavery and genocide. And in order for us not to look that in the face, instead, we focused on international terror. This is not someone who takes terrorism particularly seriously, so I am bewildered as to why quoting her would constitute some form of violation of her personage. It would be a violation of free speech or something nonsensical like that.
Ben, just so people know what we're talking about here, I want to play that soundbite that you're referencing where she talks about the way people say al-Qaeda. Let's watch.
When I was in college, I took a terrorism class. Every time the professor said Al-Qaeda, he sort of like his shoulders went up, and
yeah, he's in command here.
Al-Qaeda, Hezbollah. You don't say America with an intensity. You don't say England with an intensity. You don't say the army with an intensity.
Well, and Ben, Pete Buttigieg, we talked about him earlier. He's the new star of the Democrat Party. He's edged out Beto O'Rourke, and now he's taken that spot in the spotlight. He talked today about the consequences of otherizing people like her. I thought you'd love this. Let's watch.
One of the worst things that's happening right now is otherizing people. And if we're wondering whether this has real-world consequences, look no further than what happened not long ago in New Zealand. And yes, by the way, the president demonizing Representative Omar is part of this. It's dangerous, and it's got to stop.
Otherizing, Ben.
Well, very odd, since Representative Omar has 3 times in the last 3 months been chided for openly anti-Semitic statements, and then the Democratic Party has defended her. I'm amused to watch as the Democratic Party suggests that criticism and quoting of Ilhan Omar amounts to violent incitement, where Representative Omar can say whatever Jew-hating thing she wants on a daily basis, and that is not incitement. Now, I agree, it's not incitement in either case, but to pretend that it is incitement when it's stuff you don't like, and it's not incitement when it's stuff that you do, seems pretty irresponsible at the mildest.
Ben, thank you so much. Great to have you on tonight.
Welcome back to A Listen Reacts. If you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button and drop a like, because tonight we're diving into one of the most disturbing displays of political hypocrisy I've seen in a long time. So, let's talk about what just happened on Laura Ingraham's show. She had Ben Shapiro on to discuss Ilhan Omar's latest controversy, the same Ilhan Omar who's become a lightning rod in Washington for her constant anti-American rhetoric. Now, after President Trump criticized her comments about 9/11, she claimed that his tweet amounted to incitement of violence. And, as always, the mainstream media came running to her defense. Let me be very clear here. Criticism is not violence. Disagreement is not hate. But for the left, every time someone calls out their hypocrisy, they scream racism or Islamophobia to shut down debate. This is what Ilhan Omar has perfected, a professional victimhood strategy. Ben Shapiro hit the nail on the head when he reminded everyone that Omar has a long history of minimizing terrorism. We're talking about someone who once joked about how professors say Al-Qaeda with more intensity than America. She literally said that as if the real problem was that Americans take terrorism too seriously.
Can you imagine?
This wasn't taken out of context. These are her own words. And then, back in 2016, she wrote a letter trying to get leniency for ISIS recruits. Yes, people who wanted to join the same group that murdered innocent civilians. Her argument? That they only turn violent because of American marginalization. That's not patriotism. That's apologizing for evil. And yet, when President Trump rightfully called her out, she didn't take responsibility. She played the victim card. Nancy Pelosi jumped in, asking for Capitol Police protection, and the entire media framed Omar as a target of hate rather than a public official accountable for her words. Now, let's flip the script for a second. Imagine a conservative lawmaker saying something remotely sympathetic toward white supremacists. Would the media defend them? Of course not. They'd be crucified. But when it's Ilhan Omar, a progressive darling, the press rewrites the narrative overnight. Ben Shapiro made another crucial point. This is not about silencing Omar. This is about truth and accountability. Omar's comments are dangerous because they normalize the idea that America is the villain, that we brought terrorism upon ourselves. And when she says things like, some people did something about 9/11, she insults every victim, every firefighter, every soldier who sacrificed for this country. Let's not forget, nearly 3,000 Americans died that day. That's not some people did something. That was an attack on the heart of freedom itself. So when someone like Omar tries to downplay that, we must speak up. That's not hate speech, it's patriotism. But the left doesn't want patriots. They want silence. They want obedience. They want people who apologize for loving their country. Well, not here. Not on A Listen Reacts. We stand with those who defend America unapologetically. If you believe in holding leaders accountable, no matter their background, no matter their politics, then hit that like button, share this video, and make sure you're subscribed. Because as long as the media protects people like Ilhan Omar, we need to keep exposing the truth. This isn't about right or left, it's about right and wrong. And what Ilhan Omar said was wrong. America deserves better from those who serve it.